What if I told you? The most powerful response to betrayal isn't screaming, pleading, or proving your worth, but absolute, unshakable silence. Not the kind of silence that hopes to be chased. The kind that builds quietly while the world watches and wonders. That's the energy you're stepping into now. They thought you'd cry, collapse, spiral. She thought she'd see you begging for closure, typing out late-night paragraphs, questioning what went wrong. But instead, you vanished. No explanation, no breakdown, no warnings, just gone. And that's where everything begins. Because when a man stops reacting, he starts evolving. See, Stoicism isn't about turning to stone, it's about forging steel. You feel the pain, deeply, but instead of showing it, you use it. You don't lash out, you lock in. That heartbreak, it's a gift, wrapped in fire, and most men burn with it. But you become forged by it. You realize the truth. No one can abandon you if you never placed your peace in their hands. You gave her your loyalty, your attention, your energy, and she mistook it for weakness. She thought you'd fall apart without her. That's the fatal mistake. Because you didn't fall, you fell back. Into focus, into discipline, into the version of yourself that doesn't chase love. It attracts it by being whole on his own. So while she's out there trying to replace the attention you gave freely, you're in the shadows, training in silence, healing in private, building something she'll never get access to again. And that absence, it's louder than any closure she thought she wanted. She doesn't get to see the new you. She lost that right the moment she played with the old one. And this story you're in now, it's no longer about heartbreak. It's about rebirth. This isn't about getting her back. It's about never needing her again. When a man reaches that level of peace, he becomes untouchable. Not because he feels nothing, but because nothing owns him anymore. If you're done explaining yourself, if you're done being anyone's emotional punching bag, if you're ready to reclaim your power and make silence your loudest move, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I rise in silence. Now let's begin. Number 1. She expected tears. You gave her silence. She thought you'd break, that you'd spiral, that she had you so emotionally wrapped, your world would collapse the moment she walked out. And for a second, you almost did. That punch to the gut, the shock, the betrayal, it hit hard. But then came the silence. Not the weak kind, not the kind that waits by the phone hoping she'll come back. The kind that says, I don't beg, I rebuild. That's what she didn't see coming. Most people expect chaos when they walk away from someone they think they control. They expect tears, drama, desperate apologies. But when you give them nothing, when you leave no reaction, no access, no updates, that gets in their head. Because silence makes people confront themselves. They don't know if you're hurting or healing, if you've moved on or leveled up, and the unknown will torment them more than anything you could ever say. She wanted to feel power in your pain, but you gave her nothing to feed on. That's the move. No closure, no scenes, just distance. That's how you flip the script. Because the man who walks away with dignity, quiet dignity, is the one they regret losing when the noise fades and no one else matches his energy. This isn't about making her jealous. This is about choosing your self-respect over emotional performance. She doesn't need to see your pain to validate it, and you don't need her to understand your growth to pursue it. You chose silence because you've outgrown childish responses. That's not weakness. That's elite control. If you're done making decisions from a place of weakness, if you're ready to take back control, comment below. I master my emotions. They do not master me. Number 2. Pain is information, not identity. Heartbreak hurts. There's no pretending it doesn't. But what you do with that pain, that's where everything changes. See, most people let pain define them. They wear it like armor, replay the memories, let the betrayal become their whole personality. But that's not you, not anymore. Because pain, it's not who you are. It's just a signal, a message, a brutal but honest teacher saying, this is where your boundaries were weak. This is where your worth wasn't protected. You weren't destroyed. You were educated. Pain is a compass. It shows you where your standards slipped, where you abandoned your self-respect in the name of love. But now you see clearly. You don't let suffering become your story. You let it shape your standards. That version of you that tolerated less than you deserved, he's gone. Pain ended him, and in his place stands a man who doesn't chase love that hurts. He attracts love that respects. When you stop letting pain consume you and start letting it inform you, you level up fast. You stop asking why it happened and start asking what it taught you. That's the Stoic move. That's dark clarity. And most won't get it, because most people stay addicted to the drama. But you've unplugged from it. You don't romanticize the past. You analyze it, extract the lesson, apply the correction, then move on. And here's the twist. Once you stop identifying with your pain, the person who caused it loses all control. She can't trigger you if you've already turned that trigger into power. If you're done letting pain define your story, if you're ready to use it as fuel instead of a cage, comment below. My pain is my teacher, not my identity. Number 3. Your absence is louder than any argument. You could have gone off. You had every reason to. You could have exposed the lies, sent the screenshots, called her out for every shady thing she did. But you didn't, because you finally understood. Your absence has more weight than any argument. Let everyone else scream for attention. You just disappear. No debates, no final words, no messy scenes, just silence and a locked door behind you. See, when you argue, you give them energy. You give them validation. You feed their ego by showing them they still affect you. That's what they want. They want your reaction because it keeps you emotionally tied to them. But when you walk away and say nothing, that's a statement no words could ever match. That silence, it haunts. You want to live rent-free in her mind? Don't text. Don't check her stories. Don't subpost or leave passive-aggressive comments. You vanish. Because when you vanish, she starts questioning, wondering if you ever cared, wondering why you're not breaking. And that wondering, it does more damage than any fight you could have started. Stoicism isn't passive, it's precision. You don't react because you're weak. You don't react because you refuse to give someone else control over your peace. You don't need to be right. You need to be free. So you disappear. You go ghost. And while she's replaying the past, trying to decode your silence, you're already in a new chapter, with new goals, new focus, and zero interest in rewinding the tape. That's how you shift power. You don't chase closure. You become the closure. If you're done explaining yourself to people who never listened, if you're ready to let your absence speak for itself, comment below. I don't chase. I disappear. Number 4. Rejection is redirection to power. She left, or maybe she made you feel like staying wasn't an option. Either way, it stung. Rejection always does. But here's what you need to understand. Rejection isn't the end, it's the doorway. A brutal, necessary redirection that forces you back onto the path you were meant to walk. The version of you that got hurt? He wasn't operating at full strength. He was distracted, emotionally invested in someone who didn't value his presence. That rejection, it was the universe ripping the blindfold off. Most men take rejection personally. They think, I wasn't good enough. But the truth is, it was never about being enough. It was about misalignment. You were offering depth to someone who was addicted to surface-level games. You were giving loyalty to someone who confused it with control, and you thought that losing her meant losing everything. But no, losing her was step 1 in finding you. Rejection forces reflection. It strips away the fantasy and shows you the facts. She was never the source of your worth. She was just a mirror showing you where your standards needed to evolve. Now you're awake, a little colder, a lot smarter, and completely unfazed by anything that doesn't add peace or purpose to your life. So no, you weren't abandoned. You were rerouted. And every time you wanted to send that text or look at her profile, remember this. She rejected you, and in doing so, blessed you. That moment built the man who doesn't beg anymore. He builds. He doesn't react. He redirects. And now, you're dangerous, because you've tasted pain and chose power anyway. If you're done seeing rejection as failure, if you're ready to use it as fuel, comment below, "Rejection redirected me to my power." Number 5. Indifference is the ultimate flex. You want to know what really messes with someone who thought they had you wrapped around their finger? Indifference, not anger, not bitterness, not petty attempts to make them jealous. Just pure, solid, unmoved indifference. That's the real flex. When you don't hate them, when you don't care what they do, who they're with, or what they're posting, when their name doesn't shake you anymore, that's power. Because here's the truth. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Hate still means you're emotionally attached. It means they still own space in your mind. But indifference, that's when the lease expired. That's when they go from being the center of your thoughts to just another person. No more pedestal, no more fantasy, just facts. And the fact is, they don't matter anymore. Indifference isn't faked, it's earned. You reach it by healing, by grinding, by working on yourself so relentlessly that they become irrelevant. You stop caring not because you're heartless, but because your peace costs too much to hand out cheap reactions, and they'll feel it, the shift, when your energy isn't available anymore, when the door closes and you don't even look back. That's when they realize what they lost. You don't have to say a word, just keep moving, let your growth speak for itself. Because while they're wondering why you're so calm, you're out here building a life so good, their memory feels like a joke. And that's what true indifference looks like. If you're done giving energy to what doesn't serve you, if you're ready to choose peace over petty, comment below. My indifference is my freedom. Number 6. Improve in shadows. Return unrecognizable. You don't need to announce your comeback. You don't need to post quotes, take petty shots, or drop hints. That's noise, and you're done with noise. Real power moves in silence. You disappear, not out of weakness, but because your next version requires isolation. You heal in private. You train in silence. You rebuild where no one can interrupt the process. And when you return, you're unrecognizable. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. She thought you vanished because you were broken. Nope, you vanished because you were upgrading. And by the time she realizes it, it's too late. You don't need to prove anything. Let the glow-up speak. The way you carry yourself, the new boundaries, the energy, the discipline, all of it screams, I outgrew who you hurt. The shadows are your ally now. That's where the work happens. That's where you outgrow the weak mindset that kept you chasing people who didn't deserve access to you. You hit the gym, you build your money, you fix your habits, you surround yourself with people who sharpen you, not drain you. And every time she thinks about reaching out, she's not greeted by the man she left. She's blocked by the man she never got to meet. Reinvention isn't a performance. It's a war you fight alone. And when you win, you walk different, talk different, think different. And they don't get to see how you did it. They just feel the weight of your absence and the glow of your presence when it returns. If you're done broadcasting your pain and ready to build in silence, comment below. I evolve in silence and return with power. Number 7. No reaction is the master move. She wanted a scene. She wanted drama. She wanted to know she still had control. That's why she pushed your buttons, played her games, and waited for your reaction. But you gave her nothing. No text, no call, no clapback. Just calm. And that calm? That's the most powerful weapon you have. No reaction isn't weakness, it's mastery. Most men are too eager to prove they're unbothered, and in doing so, they prove the opposite. They rage post. They jump into rebound flings. They play the look how happy I am game. And every time they do, they show they're still emotionally chained to her, but not you. You move in control because you finally get it. Every reaction is currency, and you're done handing out free value. No reaction means she has no idea what you're thinking, no idea if you care. No idea if you've moved on or leveled up. That mystery, that's pressure, because when someone can't read you, they start overthinking, and when someone knows they can't move you anymore, they lose the one thing they thought they had: power. So don't flinch. Don't explain. Don't perform. Stay quiet. Stay composed. Let her wonder why nothing she does gets through to you. Because when you don't react, you don't just look powerful. You are powerful. You're not suppressing emotions, you're controlling them. And control is everything. If you're done reacting to chaos and ready to command your peace, comment below. My silence is not weakness, it's precision. Number 8, you're not broken, you're reborn. They said you were broken, that you'd never bounce back, that she shattered you beyond repair. But they were wrong. You weren't broken. You were shedding. You were being stripped down to rebuild stronger. Because every man who becomes truly stoic has to go through that fire, the death of who he thought he was, so he can become who he was meant to be. Pain isn't the end. It's the beginning of a colder, calmer, more focused version of you, the kind of man who no longer operates out of desperation, the kind who no longer begs for love. He commands respect. And that transformation, it doesn't happen when things are easy. It happens when everything falls apart and you decide not to. You see clearer now. That heartbreak was a purge. It exposed what needed to go. The lies, the weakness, the fantasy of who she was. It all died so you could live differently. You're not carrying that dead weight anymore. You're lighter, sharper, quieter. And that quiet isn't numbness, it's focus. It's the sound of a man who stopped chasing validation and started mastering himself. You were never meant to be the same after what happened. You were meant to rise, colder, wiser, detached from everything that once had power over you. That's not brokenness, that's rebirth. And the world will feel the difference. If you're done clinging to the version of you that pain tried to destroy, if you're ready to rise from it, comment below, I'm not broken, I've been reborn. Number 9, let her wonder, not witness. She doesn't get to see the new you. She gave up that privilege the moment she treated the old you like you were replaceable. Now, she can wonder. Wonder where you went. Wonder why you stopped reaching out. Wonder who you're becoming, because she'll never get a front row seat again. You don't flex your growth to get her attention. You lock her out and level up anyway. Most men try to prove they've changed by making sure their ex sees it. They post more, show off more, hoping she notices. But that's still giving her power. That's still seeking approval from the same person who didn't value you when she had you. Nope, that ends here. You didn't improve to make her regret. You improved because you were done lowering your value to fit into her world. Let her wonder. Let her stalk your silence and get nothing back. Because when someone has to imagine your glow-up instead of witnessing it, it hits different. You go private. Not because you're hiding, but because peace loves privacy. You don't need an audience for your evolution. You need focus, discipline, space to build a life that's too solid for drama to ever reach again. And here's the beauty of it. Mystery always outlasts attention. While she's out there trying to stay relevant, you're moving with intention. And that silence she once thought was weakness, it becomes the one thing she can't stop thinking about. If you're done showing up for people who didn't appreciate you, if you're ready to make peace your new presence, comment below, I let them wonder, not witness. Number 10. Cold is calm when it's earned. There's a difference between being cold and being bitter. You're not bitter, you're not angry, you're just done. That coldness, it's not spite, it's calm. And it's earned. It's what happens when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop justifying your worth, when you stop giving access to people who only valued your vulnerability when it was convenient for them. Cold isn't heartless, it's healed. It's the byproduct of facing the pain, sitting in it, not running from it, and coming out the other side with zero interest in proving anything to anyone. You don't lash out, you don't chase, you don't even respond. That's what makes it powerful. You're not reactive, you're not moved. You're just still. And in a world addicted to chaos, stillness is terrifying. People think you changed. Nope. You just stopped bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer you a bandage. You're still loyal, but now it's earned. You're still loving, but now it's guarded. You still feel deeply, but now your emotions belong to you. That's what Stoic energy really is. It's not numbness, it's ownership of your thoughts, your time, your peace. You had to be soft to realize softness wasn't safe. You had to be broken to understand what needed to be rebuilt. And now, you're cold, calm, composed, untouchable. She can't reach you anymore, not because you're hiding, but because you've risen. If you're done being emotionally available to people who never deserved your depth, if you're ready to stay calm, stay solid, stay cold, comment below, I earned my calm. I protect it with silence. You didn't lose her. You lost the illusion. And what you gained in return? Peace, power, presence. That version of you that over-explained, over-gave, over-loved, that version is gone, dead and buried. And what stands in his place now is a man who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't beg for closure he can give himself. That's Stoic energy, cold, controlled, focused. The world doesn't teach men to master their emotions. It teaches them to suppress them, explode from them, or numb them. But not here, not anymore. You felt everything. And then you refused to let it run you. You went silent. You sharpened up. You stopped seeking and started building. You became dangerous, not because you hurt others, but because nothing can break you anymore. So let them wonder where you went. Let her regret what she lost. But don't ever stop. Keep evolving. Keep rising. You don't owe your past a damn thing, only your future. If this hit home, if you felt every word like it was written for you, it was. This is your time now. Cold Stoic energy. Move with it. Lead with it. Live by it. If you're done being who they expected, if you're ready to become who you were meant to be, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I vanish to evolve. I return untouchable. Until next time, stay silent, stay sharp, stay stoic.